Okay, so right off the bat, oh, first of all, welcome back. Thank you for coming. Right off the bat, I prefer the Hype 2 over the Hype 4. Even though it's the predecessor in the series, the entry level, given its model number 2 versus, 4, it costs less money. I actually prefer the two's roundedness. It's more relatively mellowed out upper end compared to the four's more excited upper end. Um, I think clearly that the Hype 4 is trying to be more excited, but I'm not a total fan of it. I really prefer the way that the Hype 2 is just trying to be a more all-arounder sound. That may just be me, but that's my personal feelings. It's hard to argue subjective stuff. That's just how I feel. If you have a taste of the Hype 4 and you think it sounds more excited in a pleasing way to you that attracts you and your preferences or your music styling more, then go for it. I'm not trying to argue anybody. But we're going to move on to some other stuff now. The Hype 10, we're going to bring in some other reference points, et cetera, et cetera. But firstly, let's bring in the Salnotes Zero, which is out of nowhere. It's $20. It's from a different company, but I think it's important to bring in some reference points that we are maybe more commonly familiar with. Something like a $20 set that's very, very popular and critically acclaimed, like the Salnotes Zero, is going to serve as a useful, just a reference point so we know what the THIEAUDIO stuff is doing different than maybe the competition or other brands out there are doing. So it might be an unfair price gap, an unfair quality difference, but let's hear it anyway. Let's see what you think. I really go back and forth on this one. I really do. I was listening to the two of them earlier, and I thought to myself that I clearly preferred the more mellowed, well-rounded sound of the Hype 2, the less excited upper-end sound of the Hype 2, compared to the more excited upper-end sound of the Salnotes Zero. But the Salnotes Zero, every time you come back to it, there's something to really appreciate about the vocals, I feel like, in particular. There's something about that upper mid or upper end, somewhere in there, where the Salnotes Zero is just crafted so beautifully to bring attention, to bring highlight to the voice and other instruments where there's this perceived clarity to it. And only for $20, it's a marvelous buy. You might even prefer it over the Hype 2, to be very blunt. I'm not a reviewer who says, look at this price tag, it's therefore better. I am fine saying, if you prefer the $20 Salnotes Zero because of its tonal balance being so different, the way it is choosing to be, over the $400, $300 IEM, then fine. Yeah, I agree with you. I can see that. I can hear that. But the Hype 2 is definitely a different sound that you might prefer anyway. You might prefer the well-rounded, more mellowed out sound. It's a weird toss-up here, actually, in terms of preferences and my recommendations. They're just different. So let's bring back the Hype 4, though. Let's take another look at that excited Hype 4 sound. Now that we have an excited upper-end sound reference point from something outside the THIEAUDIO brand, let's bring back in the Hype 4, which is trying to do that similar kind of forward upper-end excitement. Let's compare it to the Salnotes Zero.
Make me feel
I really feel bad to say this because I'm sure there's such craft, such an effort that the designers of the Hype 4 probably put in here. But I think, and especially with that price difference and the cost to make it, I'm sure there's a lot going into it. But I kind of think that the Hype 4 is a little too hot in the upper end for my taste. It's just and this is not just on the recordings, on this device, on this speaker. I listen to these things in my ears, and my commentary is really calling to my real life experience. And this demo stuff, this playback experience we're doing together, this is just a reference. This is just kind of like a reminding exercise of what I actually felt in my own ears. And in my own ears, the Hype 4, like the demo too, is a little too hot for my taste. It's not like sibilant. It's not like really annoying. So like if you're hearing sibilance at home through your playback device, that's probably a little bit exaggerated because of the playback device and the recording. Fair enough. But in real life, that central character of a little bit of heat in the treble that's not quite natural, that's not quite rounded off, that's softened enough, it's also there in the Hype 4 in real life. It's a little too much for my taste, and I think perhaps for other people's tastes too, once you compare it to other things that are really, really well crafted masterfully, like the Salnotes Zero is. The Salnotes Zero just handles that upper end forwardness with a delightful balance. It's super, super tasteful. Critical, you did amazing. Now let's look at the Hype 10, okay? Let's bring in the biggest gun, so to speak, of all from the Hype series. Okay, I just had to stop that even after a brief clip because, yeah, the Salnotes Zero is finally starting to show that edginess in the upper end that isn't the most polished or refined possible in this hobby. And the Hype 10 really had to just be on for a moment for you to be like, oh, yeah, I hear that, actually. The Salnotes Zero is great, but it does have that edge to it that you might not love. So there is room for trying other things in this hobby. You can't just stop at the Salnotes Zero necessarily, although it can get you extremely far. So let's go back now. Let's go back to this. Let's start with a little clip of the Salnotes Zero just to remind us what that was like, and let's cycle through the Hype 2, Hype 4, and Hype 10 on that track. Let's get it all back together. You know, I just don't know. I don't, there's something about that forwardness in the upper end from the Hype 4 and Hype 10 that just doesn't tickle me. Maybe it tickles somebody else. Maybe somebody else will enjoy it a lot more and find a raw excitement to it. But for me, it mostly highlights that upper end in a way that I don't glom on with. I just personally don't. This hobby is very subjective. It's like art. It's like wine. You can have a very expensive bottle, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to enjoy it more than a $10 bottle. And that is the raw and honest truth of the matter, at least for me and my feelings in this hobby. I am currently not being sponsored very much by anybody, and I'm currently only getting free products sent to me in the mail with no money attached. So if I'm brutally honest, if I'm going to break somebody's heart, I am sorry. I don't mean to offend. I'm just here to share my personal opinion, my personal feelings as I listen to these things in my ears, okay? Now, the Salnotes Zero is a strong recommendation, though. Like, you can't go wrong with that, especially for $20. Go get it if you haven't already. It's amazing for what it does. Do I prefer it over the Hype 2? It's different. It's different. It's a $400 bottle of wine versus a $20 bottle of wine, so to speak, with that metaphor. It's just different. I think you could have a much better case for buying the $20 one. I don't think you have to have a case for buying the $400 thing or $300 or whatever the Hype 2 costs. I'm sorry if I don't know the price off the top of my head, but it's something in the few $100 range. It's a bigger consideration, okay? If you really like the sound so far in the demo, then go for it. But if you're on the fence, you don't have to jump on it, I don't think. There are a lot of things you can enjoy without necessarily spending that much. But it is very enjoyable. It is, okay? Just up to you if you want to spend that much. Now, let's try a different track. We're going to go really like back, pow, pow, pow. We're going to go back and forth with really quick snippets into other genres of music here. We're going to really go back and forth quickly between the Hype series IEMs to see if there's something special in maybe another genre of music, maybe the way the drums hit. We're about to listen to some metal music, some hard rock, and see if something stands out that we didn't notice in the previous listening sessions. Okay, this is just a brief pause to just notice, like, the drums sound really, really nice, actually, on the Hype 4 in this particular clip. So let's keep listening. I just wanted to note that. Don't they just, like, kind of, like, pop in a delightful way, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, firstly, you might have to excuse if you hear any like artifacts of popping noises that don't sound like from the original track. I think that's the couplers resonating or popping in some way. Sorry about that if you notice that. I do. I can't help but hear it. But the Hype 4 has this kind of texture and openness that the Hype 2 doesn't quite have. So there is this appealing trait on this track here, in this metal and busy track on the Hype 4 compared to the Hype 2. But there's also like brief moments here and there when it transitions between the two, especially earlier, where the Hype 4 was a little, again, too excited for my mellowed heart. Sometimes I really just want to relax with my metal, if that makes any sense. Like IEMs and speakers can have a very difficult time playing metal with, well, especially IEMs because they're stuffed in your ear and it's so bombastic, metal music is, that it can be really jarring and abrasive. So you really, with metal especially, you need to find something that is a little bit mellowed out, to be honest. At least that's what I feel. And the Hype 4 is ever so slightly a bit too eager to try to be excited for that genre. But so far in this not yet that intense segment of the track, the Hype 4 is pretty interesting. Let's keep listening. The drum pops of the Hype 4 are really cool. I just had to stop it right there to emphasize that. They just sound so delicious. But drums by themselves, that one pop is not enough to say I strongly recommend it. These things are a composition. Okay, so let's go back to listening to both of them back and forth and see if that Hype 4 extra energy is too much when considering all the instrumentation. Okay, and I do think the Hype 10, listen for it, I think the Hype 10 is a little bit more polished. I think it's a little more appropriate for the genre overall, even though those drums are delicious on the Hype 4.
Lost in the sky.
Did you hear it? The Hype 10 is really strutting its stuff here. So, showing its stuff here. The Hype 4, it had those moments where it was like, wow, that pop. But when you really listen to it, especially compared to the Hype 10, the Hype 4 does show that it has a little bit too much sizzle on the upper end. Okay, there it is. There's the proof. Case closed. If you didn't believe me before, you certainly had to have heard it there. You certainly must have. And I promise you, whatever you think might be detracted from your playback device, oh, we're playing this. People always comment. They say, hey, this is ridiculous. You can't judge the quality of this through your speakers at home. Okay, fine. Why don't you buy both of these and put your money where your mouth is? and actually listen to the two like I have, and then compare it to the demos and see how much the true character is represented well enough, okay? Because the Hype 4 is too sizzly on this. It is too much. I'm sorry to the people who crafted it. It's a wonderful attempt, and thank you for sending it to me. I am very grateful for that. I really am. Thank you. But it is too much sizzle. I'm sorry. And the Hype 10 is much more polished here, as it should be for this genre of music and this track and all that stuff, okay? So now let's go back to the Hype 2 and let's compare it to the Hype 10, because the Hype 2 was, as my memory might serve me, a well-rounded sound compared to the Hype 4. So let's compare the Hype 2 to the Hype 10, these two well-rounded approaches, and see which one does better on this track here now. Okay.
Lost in the sky, clouds roll by and I roll with them. Arrows fly, seas increase and then fall again. This world is spinning around me. This world is spinning without me, and every day sends future.
Okay, so I think that the Hype 2 and the Hype 10 are a lot closer in overall feel and direction, roundedness that they're going for than the Hype 4 is. The Hype 4 really does seem to be on its own place of a more edgy, forward, excited attempt at things. And I think the Hype 4 is interesting for trying it, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not, so I'm going to put it aside. The Hype 2 and 10, though, are kind of doing different things a little bit. I think the Hype 10 is more polished. I do think it's trying to be a little bit more smooth, a little bit more clean in most areas, but it can't escape that Hype series splash sound at the upper end that all of them seem to have to some degree or another. I do think that the Hype 2 has a little, it's weird because like the Hype 2 is smooth in some spots of the frequency response. To my ear, it sounds like there's some parts of the Hype 10 that are still a little edgy, where the Hype 2 is not. But vice versa, there's parts that somehow seem edgy in the Hype 2 where the Hype 10 is not. So it's like a trade-off in different places, and I'm split in terms of what to say about that. The only thing that would tip it over the Hype 10's favor is that the Hype 10 does have more polish, more well-roundedness that's noticeable in the spots where it is trying to be cleaner and smoother. It's like just a little bit above the Hype 2 overall, but I think I could honestly say, even at this point in the video, that if you're looking for a final recommendation from me in terms of buying recommendations, I don't think you have to push for the Hype 10. I think you could find very similar but a little different enjoyment in the Hype 2 and be very happy with it. And I don't totally love this series overall compared to other things out there, though, so check my ranking list to see other things. Now, let's bring in the other things. Oh, I have to go to dinner. Okay, I'll be back to continue this later. I didn't even need to say that. You wouldn't notice that I was gone if I'm wearing the same things anyway, unless it was tomorrow. I may not get back until tomorrow. We'll see. But the next thing you're gonna hear is going to be other products from THIEAUDIO, the Prestige Limited, and we'll eventually get to the Monarch MKII, my current reigning champion favorite from THIEAUDIO. To see if you're gonna consider spending this much money, could you consider spending a little bit more, or a lot of bit more maybe, for these other two top contenders? Let's find out.
Oh damn, oh damn, oh damn, I'm so perplexed. With just one breath I'm locked in. Oh damn, oh damn, oh damn, I'm so perplexed on that it's almost shocking. I know, you know, you're scared, your heart, your mind, just so your body. Yeah. They won't be careful, but I guess that you don't know me. Cause if I want you, and I want you, babe, ain't going backwards, won't ask for space. The space was just a word made up by someone who's afraid to get too close. Oh, oh, so close. Oh, I want you close. Oh, 'cause space was just a word made up by someone who's afraid to get close. Oh, oh, so close. Oh, I want you close. Oh, I want you close. Stay close enough. No. Oh man, I am not really known for ever being speechless.
And I'm back. Same night. So, yeah, I prefer the Prestige Limited over the Hype 10. It just seems to be this deeper, more polished, more well-rounded sound altogether. It does cost more money, so I guess that should make more sense. But in this case, it does. It actually does sound better to me, just all around. But this just sounds so good. As the female vocals kicked in there, you just want to hear more, don't you? So we're gonna hear more. Let's just hop back in. Let's see how they compare some more.
Oh, I want you close. Stay close enough. No. Oh man, I am not really known for ever being speechless. But now somehow my words roll off my tongue right onto your lips. Oh, I'm keeping cool while you keep smiling, saying all the things I'm thinking. Oh, baby. Oh man, I am like you, so I won't proof on what you're feeling. 'Cause if I want you, then I want you, babe.
Are you kidding me with that? Oh my gosh. As soon as we go from the Hype 10's female vocals back over to the Prestige Limited female vocals, it's such a stark contrast in how much more beautiful that vocalist shines, how much more it comes out and truly sings. The Prestige Limited is, in my opinion, a far better experience for that kind of vocalist on that track. Now, let's bring in, I think we should move on from the Hype series a little bit again, and let's bring in something else from THIEAUDIO now. Let's bring in the king, the Monarch MKII, my current all-time favorite, and what has been my all-time favorite from the brand of THIEAUDIO.
But now somehow my words roll off my tongue right onto your lips. Oh, I'm keeping cool while you keep smiling, saying all the things I'm thinking. Oh, baby. Oh man, I am like you, so I won't proof on what you're feeling. 'Cause if I want you, then I want you, babe. Ain't going backwards, Don't ask for space. 'Cause space is just a word made up by someone who's afraid to get too close. Oh, oh, so close. Oh, want you close. Oh, yeah. 'Cause space was just a word made up by someone who's afraid to get close. Oh, so close. Oh, want you close. Cause if I want you, I don't want you, babe. Ain't coming backwards, won't ask for space. Cause space was just a word made up by someone who's afraid to get too close.
All right, guys, I'm going to try to be a little brief with my conclusion today because I've talked a lot already. We've heard a lot already. You know, this is a strange hobby. Tastes change, moods change, and all that. I've once said that the Hype 2 was becoming, it seemed like it was becoming like a good gold standard recommendation for a balanced overall sound. And I still feel like there's truth in that. It's just, maybe I'm becoming more treble sensitive with time, or something in the upper end more sensitive. Maybe it's the upper mids. I'm not sure for sure. But the Hype 2, when you listen to the Monarch Mark II, it's just so hard to come back down to anything else. It really is. Now, I know there's a big price difference between the Monarch Mark II and any of the Hype models, especially the Hype 2, which is like the entry point to that stuff for THIEAUDIO. But I gotta say, like, don't buy anything but the Monarch Mark II. Unless you can't afford it outright and you can't save up for it no matter how long you try, if you're just never going to be in a situation to afford the Monarch Mark II, if it's just a moot point, it's just unreasonable to expect to save up for anything like that, then, I mean, if you're considering getting a Hype 2 and it's like $300-$400, whatever it may be, you have that kind of savings. Could you save up for like a year for something really endgame? I think you should. It's a big investment, and I know it's a lot to save up for. But if you're willing to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars already, is that terrible to say? I feel like that's entitled or something. I feel like that's like one of those first world problem sort of situations where it's like, well, just get the more expensive thing at some point, you know? And it's like, but that's not easy for people. And some people, that's just like impossible to request. But if you're watching a video about things that are already $400 or whatever, and more, if you're already considering Hype 2, Hype 4, and Hype 10 as your like up to $800, $900, whatever it is, dollars as a potential buy, then I think you should continue saving. I like the Hype 2 enough for what it's doing, but I think that the Hype series, the Oracle, the Prestige, a lot of the offerings from THIEAUDIO have a certain edginess. Even the Monarch Mark III does too. It's exciting. It does have very good moments, especially with like female vocals and drum hits at certain points and certain guitar riffs. But compositionally, when all of it comes together on very busy tracks, the best that there is and the most joy that you'll have, the most comfortable listening for long listening sessions and no regrets, I feel it's the Monarch Mark II. So that's my takeaway, guys. If you really want to get a Hype series, if you liked what you heard from the Hype series, get the Hype 2 and don't get the Hype 4 or 10. If you have tastes like mine, if you heard what I heard, okay? Hype 2, and maybe and nothing else from it, okay? Nothing else from the Hype series. Hype 2 only to consider. And it's the cheapest one, so there you go. But really, my heart lies with the Monarch Mark II. So please, if you consider it, please consider it. I'm done. I'm good. Now, before I give you your outro to listen to on your own without me talking about anything, I just want to say really quickly to THIEAUDIO, if you're listening to this, despite my very selective approach to reviewing, my very critical and narrow tastes, and I admit that's a me problem, and I think you make really polished stuff. And to be quite honest, between your case design, your faceplate design, your wire, your care, and your design principles, you are, if not my top three, amongst my top three favorite brands, period, in the IEM world, you might be my number one favorite brand. I know it doesn't sound like that because I'm so ultra selective, but everything you do, except for certain tonal decisions in these handful of products, is my favorite thing I've seen in the hobby. I think you make stellar products. And if you ever wanted to reach out to me, if you ever wanted to, I would be over the moon excited and passionate about seeing what we could possibly do together on some collaborative tuning project, okay? I'd basically probably just suggest tune down some upper mids, make something as mellow as the Monarch Mark II, and see what we can do with it. I don't know. Maybe fans will say something of my channel, whatever. If you're still here, thank you for watching and listening to me rant. And here's your outro. See you guys later. It's been fun. Please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and Patreon. Thank you all.